What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, man, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Seekers, sit back. Let's do what you do best. Say it with me, y'all. Yeah, I know what we do. Let's seek the truth.
I used to believe in the moon landing.
You don't anymore?
One of the things that I think you have to consider was if it's not possible for human beings to safely go through the Van Allen radiation belts and out into deep space without much protection and face the temperatures that are on the surface of the moon, which get up to 250 degrees and 250 degrees below zero in the shadows. There's no environment there. It's hostile beyond belief. Micrometeorites are flying into the moon all the time. They're flying through space all the time. We've never had a single biological organism go out into deep space, past the Van Allen radiation belts, and then come back to Earth and come back alive, except human beings during the Apollo missions. Every single space station mission, every single space shuttle mission, all of them are inside 350 miles from the Earth's surface. The only time human beings have ever been past that and through the Van Allen radiation belts was the Apollo missions. And we were the only humans that were ever able to do that. The Russians never figured out how to do it. No one else figured out how to do it but the Apollo astronauts.
I never knew that. And you guys know, man, freaking Artemis 2 just launched. So are they going past the limit of what the Apollo expedition did? Because there was a whole, big event. They did the countdown to it, and I actually was a witness. I saw it myself. So what do you guys think, man, about the moon landing, bro? I know people have a lot of different takes on it.
The car's on self-driving and it hit a squirrel. Like, it didn't stop with all these cameras around it. Why did you hit the squirrel?
Because it wasn't me, not the real me. The car, it's got this subroutine. They call it adaptive response. Sounds innocent, right? But it's not. It's a kill switch. When the sensors pick up anomaly, like a squirrel that doesn't bolt like normal, it overrides. Not to save it, to learn from it, to log every twitch, every last second flinch. And yeah, it picked me to be the one behind the wheel. Why? Because I'm compromised. They know I'll question it. They'll use my guilt to tweak the algorithm, make it colder, faster. So no, I didn't hit it. I just watched it happen. And now every time I blink, I see fur on the grill.
That's a little psycho.
Psycho? Nah, just awake. You think it's normal to drive a car that chooses death over mercy? That logs every splatter like it's science? That's not crazy. That's what they want you to call it. So you keep your eyes on the road and not on the code. But hey, if you want to stay sane, pretend the squirrel was a glitch. Pretend I wasn't even here. Easier that way.
Yeah, it's a little scary.
How do I know you're
That's
not
messed
some
up.
AI thing though? How would I be able to tell?
Here, man. Here.
Oh, is that, sorry, can you hold that
It's
up?
not AI.
Can you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not his name. That's it.
That's
like
our director.
Oh, I see. I thought it would be your name.
No, that's our director. We have a multiple, you see, all of them here.
Oh, I see.
No, Ronnie.
But is there
What's
not
going
some
on?
way of telling whether you're real or not? Can you hold up 3 fingers in front of your face or anything?
Oh, come on, that's too much.
Oh, you don't want to do that.
I'll do it.
3 fingers
Well, I'll do that
in
here.
front of your face is deliberate. So
What do you mean? I mean, that's too much. Come on, Ronnie.
why would it affect the AI if it was in front of your face?
Well, not at all.
You can hold
But,
it in your
it's
ear,
too much
but
to watch
not here.
somebody.
Well,
I'm just
make
doing
sure
it.
you're not AI. Is that unreasonable? I mean, can you do that in front of your face?
Well, I think that is too much to ask somebody. Don't you think that?
No, I don't
No.
think it is. If I'm making sure you're not AI, I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. Can you hold up 3 fingers in front of your face?
Well,
Authentic.
I think that, is that enough?
No, it's not in front of your face. He's really doing his
Well,
best here.
that's too much, don't you think?
Yes, it is, because, if you were real, you would put up 3 fingers in front of your face. Yes, I know so.
It's that simple. Just ask them to hold up 3 fingers in front of their face, and hopefully they do it and they'll see that if it's real or not. Also, this is another reason why you and your family should have a family safe word. So if anyone calls pretending to be a family member or loved one, you can confirm they are who they say they are by asking for that family safe word. If you're new to the Cybersecurity Go page, you know they post daily simple cyber tips, so stay safe out there.
Xbox are happy to announce that we are in talks to combine Xbox Game Pass with Netflix for one affordable subscription plan.
Wait, what? Xbox is joining Netflix? This is crazy!
Yes, we will support tiers of no ad plans as well as ad-supported plans for those who wish to subscribe.
Ad-supported plans? Are we really bringing ads to gaming? How is that even going to work?
Similar to Netflix ad plans, we will run 4 to 5 minutes of ads for every hour during gameplay on Xbox Game Pass.
Whoa, I can't believe it's happening for real. We're actually going to start seeing ads while playing video games.
That's right, and you won't own the video games or TV shows and movies on Netflix either. You know our billionaire corporate saying, you will own nothing and be happy. Well, whatever. I'll just buy my games to own on the Steam Spring Sale instead. Wait, what? I'm not signing up for any ad-supported subscription to play video games. This is why Steam is the best.
Child is at the set.
Yeah. Bro, let me find out, bro. I'm playing GTA 6, man. And the ads pop up, bro, we're going to have some problems, man. We do not need ads in games, bro. They real out trying to put ads in everything, man. Dang, bro. It's nothing secret.
They're one of the most scientifically unexplainable mysteries ever. He is convinced he's lived a past life, so he was put to the test, and the results are hard to ignore. Starting around 2 years old, Luke Ruhlman started obsessing over the name Pam. Eventually, his mom asked Luke who Pam was, and he said,
Pam was me once. Really. God threw me back down, and my new mom made me Luke.
Now kids can say the strangest things, but over the months, Luke started talking about how he used to have black hair before he died. Confused by the death comments, Luke's mom started asking a lot more questions, and Luke had plenty of answers. He said he used to live in Chicago. He would take the train, and one night he had to jump out of a window during a massive building fire. So his mom started to investigate. She found that in 1993, well before Luke was born, there was a devastating fire at the Paxton Hotel in Chicago. 19 people died, and one of the victims who jumped from a window to escape the flames was a 30-year-old woman named Pam Robinson. Way too many things were lining up, so Luke's parents gave him another test. They hid Pam's picture in a lineup of random women and asked if he recognized anyone. Instantly, Luke pointed to Pam. But shortly after the connections to Pam were made, Luke's mom said he just stopped talking about her. Almost like he just had to get it out and was finished once he finally did.
Scientists just officially discovered a spider in the Amazon that disguises itself as the zombie fungus from The Last of Us. So obviously everybody should already know of this, but cordyceps is real and it's a parasitic fungus that infects insects, takes over their bodies, and consumes them from the inside out. So it's obviously not cute. This is literally the exact zombie fungus that The Last of Us is based off of.
Apocalyptic type stuff you see in movies, but what's more frightening here is that it's actually happening.
And these scientists have now officially found a brand new spider in the Ecuadorian Amazon that evolved to look exactly like it. This researcher was on a hike during the nighttime through the rainforest, and he saw what he thought was a clump of cordyceps growing on a leaf, so he reached out to touch it, but it moved. It wasn't the fungus at all, it was literally just a spider wearing the fungus as a costume. They're saying that these spiders actually evolved those hairy yellowish things on their body to perfectly mimic the look of a cordyceps infection. And this is what makes it even crazier, because after the discovery was published, scientists started searching science photos from around the world, and they found spiders doing the exact same thing all over Vietnam, Uganda, Madagascar, and Brazil, so it's not just one spider. The disguise works because nothing in nature wants to go near the zombie fungus, so the spider just became it.
I told y'all.
Wow.
Pooh Shiesty robbed Gucci Mane to get out that contract, the rap contract. Let me break this down for y'all.
Okay.
See, this is how it all went down. January 10th, Dallas, Texas studio. Pooh Shiesty pulls up with his crew like it's all business. They there to talk about contracts, right? So you see Gucci Man and his industry folk, they're all in the studio thinking this is just business too, as usual. Next thing you know, boom, guns out. They 9 deep. They take over the whole studio. So Pooh Shiesty allegedly got the strap to somebody's dome. And he telling them, if you don't sign these papers, I'm gonna boom your ass. He said everybody looking frozen like, what's going on, fool? But not Pooh Shiesty and them. Not the people he rolled with, except for his father. Pooh Shiesty's father looking like, damn. I tried to talk him out of it, but he just didn't want to listen to me. That's how they say he was shaking his head. They said Big 30 got his strap too, but he watching the door, making sure nobody go in or out. They said one of the victims was moving a little too much, so he was getting choked out from the beginning. They said he was getting choked so much he almost passed out. Pooh Shiesty and them wasn't done after they made that man sign a contract. The contract signed, Next thing you know, they up in the blicky, Give me that watch, Give me that ring, Give me that chain. Everything must go. Gucci Man just sitting there like, I got you on the flip side. He didn't say it, but he was thinking it though. Shiesty and all his men holding that gunpoint, backing up. Nobody better not move until we gone. They slammed the door open, pow. They gone, fool. Everything they took, they got it with them. Fast forward to now, he didn't think he was gonna get locked up for this shit. Word in the street is, Gucci Man is snitching. Allegedly. Because Pooh Shiesty, the men he came with, Big 30, and Pooh Shiesty's father, all arrested. And people trying to figure out, okay, you can see Pooh Shiesty, his father, Big 30, but how they know the names of all the other people? Is Gucci Man snitching? Is somebody on his cam snitching? Somebody snitching. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about this down below in the comments. And if you like that commentary style, let me know down below in the comments too.
My 2 cents, I stay away from all shit-related things, man. I learned when I was a younger boy, the sheets were not for me. I will leave it at that.
Currently, Sora AI is shutting down all of their AI generation apps and AI generation tools, and this is one of the greatest things I've ever heard in my entire life. This is probably the greatest piece of news to come out of the year 2026, because Sora AI shutting down means so many different things. First of all, AI Fruit Love Island will cease to exist without Sora AI. Unless they can find another AI generation video service or video platform to AI generate all of the videos they need to create AI Fruit Love Island episodes, there will be no more AI Fruit Love Island if Sora actually shuts down their platform for good, like they said they were going to. Now, don't get too hyped up over this news, because there will probably be more AI video generation services that come into existence because of how profitable it is and how much money you can make off of opening an AI generation video service. But without Sora AI, the main AI generation video service and most popular AI generation video service, it's going to be a lot harder for people to AI generate videos and make AI generated content. At least for now. At least until somebody invents a new app where you can AI generate videos and that AI generation video service becomes the most popular AI generation video service. But it seems like for at least a little short while, the slop is over for at least a little bit. And that's something to celebrate over. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay,
Slop is done.
If you're watching Fox News and you look at the little bottom corner of the screen and you reverse the image, then about every 30 seconds, you're going to see the words. And you know they love inverting, reversing things, right? You got to look at things. Sometimes if you play music backwards, you'll hear different audio, right? It's all about the conditioning and the programming. Well, if you look, it says every 30 seconds, War and Evil 1, which of course it's live and raw now, but it's very interesting that if you just reverse it, they're telling you another side of the story. Some people, though, this will not compute. It doesn't make sense. They wouldn't do such a thing when they don't know maybe how much is hidden in plain sight. And the way the human mind works with repetition and subliminal programming. We all know that there used to be propaganda. That's not a consideration. Everyone knows, yes, of course, propaganda was a thing. But to think that it's happening now on our television networks and whatnot is like far out of a thought. And that is based on zero evidence.
That was insane.
So you're telling me that this whole time, there was a reason ancient civilizations wore copper, and the only way to understand is by knowing how the body actually works? You motherfuckers. Electrical energy flows through the body through these lines, meaning wearing copper around these lines benefits these organs, resulting in total body rejuvenation. That's why drinking from copper vessels is beneficial, because copper is not just a conductor of energy, it has an electrical charge of its own, and when paired directly with dead water, it becomes alive. It becomes alive. Charge your water, charge yourself, structure your water, structure self.
Creator of Fruit Love Island just ended the series with the biggest crash out. So let me briefly give the context to this crash out. Basically, a lot of people don't like AI Fruit Love Island because, well, it's AI. So there's a large group of people that are intentionally trying to go and get the episodes taken down, and it's working. A lot of the episodes have been taken down. So the creator of the series is absolutely sick of it, and they're taking out their frustration on the audience. They went on a long story rant saying that they're done with the series because everyone is just against them. They kind of crashed out on the people that say that the AI uses too much water. They told the haters to go and get a real job, which is a little ironic coming from an account that prompts AI Fruit to make content. Then they ended the rant by asking if they should keep posting. This crash out is honestly more interesting than any Fruit Love Island episode ever was.
Seekers, have any of you guys ever watched an episode of the freaking AI Fruit Island, man? It was kind of crazy, bro, his account was just exploding, man, getting, I guess, all those views, bro. The algorithm really loves, man, promoting the AI. What do you guys think? Should they abandon this account, or should they have just kept it?
Okay, one more time, because it is pretty incredible. That's the tail that you're looking at, the one that looks like the head. I'm trying. Actually, she turns around. That looks like a snake, right? It's not, it's just a caterpillar, but they do look like a snake. And this one, more than any other, looks the most like a snake I've ever seen. Guys didn't even believe me. Jesus, look at that head on it, but it's a tail. The head is actually up here. It looks so cool, this thing. So the thing.
That's not the head?
Incredible.
That looks like a snake.
He's about like 6 inches.
See, because if I would say $50 snake or caterpillar, y'all would have said snake. Nature is crazy, bro. That's a whole caterpillar.
Today, the internet has been sent into a frenzy over this headline. The bullet used to kill Charlie Kirk did not match the rifle allegedly used by suspect Tyler Robinson. Now, this article from Daily Mail has received over 14 million views in under 10 hours and has sparked hundreds of posts suggesting that conspiracy theorists were right again and that Tyler Robinson is not the shooter. But it's not that simple. Let's start with the part that is true. A recent analysis from the ATF, an official law enforcement agency, could not conclusively connect a bullet fragment recovered during an autopsy to the rifle found near the scene. And now, because of this, the defense for Tyler Robinson is arguing in court that they need to delay the preliminary hearing because they may now want to use this finding along with others for his defense. Now, here's why this headline could be misleading. The main thing is that an inconclusive result literally means there's not enough information to say yes or no. Anything else is presenting uncertainty as proof. Not to mention that inconclusive ballistic results are not that uncommon. One study, for example, by Forensic Science International found that their examiners had inconclusive results in about 20% of casework calls. That's about 1 in 5. And the reason it is so tricky to determine is because experts are looking for these microscopic markings that are left on a bullet as it passes through the gun's barrel. And these tiny scratches are like fingerprints in that no two guns have identical markings. But when the bullet is damaged and fragmented into so many tiny pieces, it's sometimes impossible to conclusively match these markings with its original gun. And that's what seems to be happening here. Now, what that means for this trial is that Tyler's defense may try and use this inconclusive result to clear him of blame, while the prosecution will aim to demonstrate that they have other evidence against him, like alleged text, DNA, etc. But the question is, what do you guys think about this?
US is banning all foreign-made routers. So in the past, when the US bans tech, they typically only ban tech that comes out of China. However, this time, it's not just China, it is all foreign-made routers. That includes brands like Netgear, like TP-Link, like ASUS. So what is there going to be left to sell here? And the reason for this ban is these companies are apparently a national security risk, according to the FCC. Now, just to let you guys know, all routers from these manufacturers that you see that are already on shelves, already have that FCC approval, is still going to be fine to purchase and even be sold in stores. This banning applies to all new products, kind of like how the DJI ban works. Now, I'm just gonna be real here. What are we gonna buy if we're living in the US? Like, these are pretty much all the router companies. Why are we doing this? Look, as a tech enthusiast that lives in the US, it's getting worse and worse for us. I thought the DJI ban was bad, but this is just getting out of hand.
Swear to God that you walked on the moon. If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? Why don't you swear to, why not? Why wouldn't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
So they really want us to believe that 3 different meteors appeared in 3 different places within the last 6 or 7 days, and it's not nothing wrong with that? You had the meteor in Ohio, 17,000 pounds, moving at 45,000 miles an hour. You had the meteor in Houston, 1 ton, moving at 35,000 miles an hour. And then you have a meteor in California. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. This is California. I need you to look at that right there. Bright green. There's a woman in California that said she heard a rumble in the sky so loud that she had to go outside her house. And when she went outside her house, this woman said she seen a green light in the sky so bright, as brighter than she ever seen in her whole entire life. And that was that meteor. So you have NASA confirming that these meteors are meteors. You had 3 oversized meteors that just fell into Earth, and NASA didn't know anything about it. But here's the thing. You have people saying that these meteors might be fallen angels. And these fallen angels might be coming to Earth because of what's happening on Earth right now. I'm going to ask you, what do you think? It's going to be people that say, this is normal. This happens all the time. This ain't normal at all. This is not normal at all. Okay. I'm out.
It's not.
Well, you have to look. Just look down on my phone.
I'm not gonna look, bro. Fuck that.
I don't this, but Peggy the Cursed Doll. So there's at least over 80 counts of people reporting that after looking at the pictures, the eyes of the doll, looking at videos of the doll, they report headaches, nausea. Apparently, this is true because it happened to me. What the fuck? I looked into the eyes, and out of nowhere, I started feeling like I wanted to throw up. I don't know if it's placebo effect. I don't know what it was, bro, but I started feeling mad weird. Also, there were reports of people getting nosebleeds after watching this. Yo, I already watched this video. And also, there was a British woman who had a heart attack after watching this video. I'm not gonna look, bro. Well, you had to look. Just look down on my phone.
Staying strong for the Seekers.
You have the viewers to see this shit if y'all want, but I'm not looking, bro. The origin of like the original owner is not really known, or like who owned it first, but all I do know was there was this woman back in 2015 where she went to a garage sale, and then she came across this doll, and automatically she was drawn to the doll. So she bought it back home, and literally that same night she started getting really, really bad nightmares. It wasn't just a one-time thing, it was a consistent thing where she would have the same nightmare over and over, and it would be really, really horrible nightmares to the point where she would wake up sweating so bad, and when she couldn't really breathe. She tried to get the doll and the house blessed by...
Why is the floor moving like this in Texas? Why is this thing moving like it's alive, like it's breathing? Nah, these people were creating a trail for their horses with their tractor, and their tractor started moving like it was a waterbed. So they got out and was like, what is going on here? So they had to dig it up to see what this is, because it's weird. Why is it moving like this? Y'all gotta see what this thing is, bro. It looks like some type of... I don't know, bro, but the whole trail is full of it. They don't know where it came from because it was never like that before. And then all of a sudden, look at this. What is that? It looks like some jello or some pudding. What is that? Man, Texas is so big, bro. Like, how do you find something like this? How does something like this happen, bro? It's like the earth is like melting or something like that. They say it's hot too. And then remember, with all this flood that's happening, like the water's coming up from underneath the ground, bro. And remember about the mud floods, the Great Tartarian mud floods? It looked like that, right? The earth is changing right beneath us, bro. Let me know down in the comments below what this is, bro. The shit is here. Let's continue to get it, man. Peace out.
After removing a lot of clay, there was a lot of sand and water, as you'll see in a second. But we're not sure, is this safe for the animals to be around? Do we need to fence off this area completely? We would really like to get y'all's advice in the comments. See right here, it is just like pudding or jello. It's such a weird consistency. Let us know what y'all think. Is this
why you should never do this? This is 17-year-old Michael Dumas. He was on a church trip to Florida with some of his friends. While on this trip, they went to Pompano Beach, and he would be buried in the sand as you see here. He'd soon be unburied and all would be well until later that night when he would wake up in the middle of the night and be itching like crazy and sweating. At first, this would be labeled as an ear infection and he would be sent home with drops, but it would soon be obvious that that's not what it was, as he started to develop these raised, bumpy rashes. And he became pretty lethargic, just wanting to sleep all the time. It got even worse to the point where he was having these big, nasty blisters. And that's when he'd finally be diagnosed with cutaneous larva migrans, which is pretty much dog or cat hookworm. So pretty much these work by the dog or the cat pooping in the sand and contaminating it, and then not long after, these microscopic larvae hatch, and then you step in this contaminated sand and you end up looking like Michael. After all of this, he ended up developing a staph infection as well, and if it's not bad enough just him getting infected, 5 others from this trip got infected with hookworm as well.
Normal looking photos with disturbing backstories, part 2. This Snapchat was the last photo ever taken of Sydney Loof, a woman who was killed by her Tinder date. Her body was cut into 14 different pieces, and when it was brought back to the morgue, it was in 6 different bags. This man was transferring oxygen tanks for 12 boys and their coach. He didn't have enough oxygen for himself, however, and died after losing consciousness in one of the cave's passageways. This man is Issei Sagawa, an actual cannibal from Japan. This photo was taken by a Japanese magazine after he was released from prison for insanity. The man in this photo, Franklin Floyd, married a woman and had custody over her children while she was in prison for 30 days. The girl in this photo is one of her children, whom Floyd kidnapped to start a new life with. He left the other siblings behind, and after this photo was taken, he went to another state, changed both of their names, and claimed her as his biological daughter. Later, he went on to marry her.
World is a weird place. The former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO was just arrested on serious charges and will probably be in prison for the rest of his life. So this is 80-year-old Mike Jeffries, the A&F CEO from 1992 to 2014. You might recognize him because he's been in hot water before, when an interview resurfaced from 2006. Where basically he said he wants cool, attractive people wearing A&F, and that fat, old, unattractive people can go somewhere else. In 2004, there was a class action lawsuit brought by minority employees who said that they were denied employment or forced to work in the back so customers didn't see them. A&F paid $40 million to settle that case. In 2005, there was some controversy surrounding shirts that read, quote, "Who needs a brain when you have these? Gentlemen prefer tickle bitties," and "Do I make you look fat?" So now let's get to the criminal allegations. Mike Jeffries, along with his partner and another man, were arrested yesterday. It is alleged that from 2008 to 2015, these men operated an international trafficking ring. Jeffries and others paid dozens of men to travel to various locations to hold these parties, basically equivalent to Diddy's freak-offs. And these young, vulnerable men were led to believe that this could lead to modeling opportunities and benefit their career. But when they arrived, all their personal items were taken, including cell phones, wallets, and clothing, and they were required to sign NDAs. Victims were injected with drugs, and even when they could not consent or did not consent, Jeffries and his partner would armor them personally or use objects. The youngest victim was 19 years old, but it's believed that many, many more victims have yet to come forward. Mike Jeffrey and the other defendants face a minimum of 35 years in prison, which is a life sentence for the 80-year-old Mike Jeffries. However, he is free right now because he paid a $10 million bond.
These CEOs, man. How many more crooked CEOs in the world have to be exposed? You know, it's a long list. Whew. Be careful, man. Gotta keep our eyes sharp out here in these streets.
She must have been out of her head.
Not long after this woman vanished, all hell broke loose. Hi, my name is Ethan, and here's everything you need to know in under 1 minute. 35-year-old Crystal Rogers was living with her boyfriend Brooks Huck and her children. On July 3rd, 2015, Brooks woke up and noticed that Crystal wasn't in bed and her car wasn't in the driveway. 2 days had gone by and no word from Crystal was given, until they found her car parked alongside the Bluegrass Parkway with a flat tire, the keys in ignition, and purse and phone in the passenger seat. Almost immediately, Crystal's family suspected her boyfriend Brooks. What's interesting is 16 months later, Crystal's father, Tommy Ballard, was hunting where an unknown subject fired a shot, hitting and unaliving him. Police are still looking for Crystal and also who unalived her father, and they believe the two cases are connected.
What do you guys think, Seekers?
Weirdest kid toys ever, part 24. So next up we got some bubbles. And it's like a sword. You dip it in like the thing with all the bubble solution crap, and then blah blah blah, you blow your bubbles. But if you take a nice close look at the thing that holds the bubbles, it looks like a nice old dude.
This is why I would never understand fraternities or hazing or anything of that nature. This guy right here, his name was Danny, and he was 18 years old, attending the University of Missouri, not knowing that this one particular fraternity hazing event would lead to his life being forever changed. Now, this happened in 2021, and he was forced to drink 1 liter of vodka by himself, and he was seen on CCTV footage being carried downstairs. Now, this had happened after he was being forced to go into a thing of broken glass, leaving him basically in crutches. But this particular evening, he was caught on CCTV footage being carried around onto a couch on CCTV footage, and then he was being dragged into a car, and I think he fell out the car at one point. And then he was taken to the hospital. At this point, he was already in cardiac arrest by the time he had got to the hospital. He was in a coma for a long time. He finally was able to get out of the coma. Unfortunately, he lost his ability to see, brain function, and this is him now, y'all. This is so sad. Please do not let fraternity, hazing, or any of that kind of stuff affect your life, because this is crazy to me. Like, this is not hazing. This is torture.
Creepy games from...
She was spitting facts, man. Like I said, some of those hazings, they're not even hazing. They're just shit fit. Seems like it's a torture scheme. Like people trying to do that to fit and be cool, man. I'm cool off that. When it gets too extreme, y'all got that. I'm out. I'm my own person, man. I'm not going through all that crazy crap just so a bunch of people I know can accept me. If you can't accept me for who I am, why would I want to be friends with you?
From around the world, part 1. South Korea's The Elevator Game, which will supposedly take you to a whole nother dimension. The only thing you need for this game is an elevator, a building with 10 floors, and to be alone. So get in the elevator on the first floor, then push the 4th floor. Once you get to the 4th floor, don't get out. Push the 2nd floor. Once you get to the 2nd floor, push the 6th floor. Once you get to the 6th floor, push the 2nd floor. Once you get to the 2nd floor, push the 10th floor. Once you get to the 10th floor, push the 5th floor. That's when a woman may enter. Don't look at her, don't talk to her. Then push the 1st floor. If you start going up to the 10th floor, then you know it worked. Once you get to the 10th floor and get out, the woman may ask you, where are you going? Don't answer, but you'll know you've made it there because you're the only living thing there. But the hardest part isn't getting there, it's getting back.
Imagine dropping your child at school.
I won't be playing
A
that.
day like any other. But instead of being called to pick her up, you're called to pick up her body. Here's what we know. On Wednesday, the 7th of August, after failing to return home after school, 16-year-old Devaney Null was reported missing. After a later police search of the Overberg High School premises, however, her body was discovered in a storage room. In the aftermath of the disturbing discovery, the school has been closed today, the 8th of August, and counseling services have been offered to both students as well as their parents. A murder case has also been opened, and the investigation has been transferred to the Provincial Serious and Violent Crimes Team. Anyone with information about the crime can contact Investigating Officer Leon, or alternatively the Crime Stop hotline. As always, I'll be sure to keep you updated.
As the renewed search for the missing Beaumont children reached its 4th day today, the brothers who said the prime suspect hired them to dig a grave-like hole at the site in 1966 have come to assist. So in 1966, Robin and David Harkin were paid by the prime suspect in the case, Harry Phipps, to dig a grave-like hole at the former Castellet factory that's southwest of Adelaide, not far from the beach where the Beaumont children disappeared. And this happened only days after the children went missing. The Harkin brothers were boys at the time, and they didn't really think anything of it until 2013 when a documentary featuring the missing Beaumont children was aired, and it discussed Harry Phipps as a potential suspect. Phipps didn't become a serious suspect until 2004 when he passed away and his son Hayden made allegations about him and about the day the Beaumont children disappeared. So when the brothers saw this documentary talking about the children and Harry Phipps, they recalled this hole that he paid them to dig just days after the children went missing. Over the years, there have been a few searches at this property, but to no avail. But on Saturday, an excavation of the property was organized by independent MP Frank Pangalo. This new dig is taking place before the government-owned land is sold to developers, and it is due to stop on March 1st. Pangalo said this new search is far more intensive than previous digs by police of the same site. Earlier this week, they discovered a hardened slab that was buried deep beneath the dirt that had never been found before. And then on day 4, the Harkin brothers arrived to assist. Pangalo said the information provided by the Harkin brothers has changed the direction of the dig, saying, quote, the brothers were able to pinpoint the position they thought they had dug the hole. They provided a lot of useful information. They've given us a lot more clarity on where to dig. This dig is only set to continue through this weekend, so hopefully something is found and the Beaumont children can finally be found and their family and the community can finally have answers about what happened to them.
Justice for them.
The couple behind me are 38-year-old Crystal Turner and 24-year-old Caitlin Schultz. They were a married couple who absolutely loved camping and spending time in the outdoors, but the pair were last seen alive on the 13th of August 2021. They were last seen at a bar in Morb at 9:30 that night. Witnesses who had seen them at the bar claimed that nobody had followed them out that night. After no one had heard from the pair for a few days, Caitlin's father contacted a friend who lived in the area where they were camping, and the father had said down the phone to Caitlin's friend that Caitlin and Crystal were a little bit concerned about a creeper dude that had been near their campsite. So the friend went to their campsite in the La Salle Mountains, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, and this was on August 18th, 2021, so a couple days after they'd last been heard from. And when they did this, they actually stumbled across their remains. And the worst part is they were on the phone with Caitlin's father as they discovered them. And the friend then contacted the police. Both of them were found undressed from the waist down in a creek, and they had both been shot to death. And this case was pretty much cold, and it still kind of is. Now, this one is technically unsolved, and I'll explain why in a minute, but there's actually no way we can confirm who did it. And it wasn't until May 2022 when police said that they had a suspect in this case, and this suspect was called Adam. But however, Adam was reported to have left the state and then taken his own life. Adam had also confessed to another killing in that area as well and provided police with details that were not known to the public.
The motive for the murder still remains completely unknown, and it's still not clear if this Adam character did actually murder them, and I suppose there's going to be no way to prove it because he's dead. But I just think this one is absolutely heartbreaking, and the pair deserved so much better.
Be careful when you're out. You never know, man. Dangers lurk around each and every single corner. Witness that firsthand. You know, if you're expert level seekers, man, you can see through all the edits.
Y'all, the Watts house has to be haunted, because tell me why the new owners of the Watts house are getting a divorce, and allegedly the dad, the husband, put his hands, or was some type of DV situation, or whatever the case may be, towards the wife. This is crazy. So basically the Watts house was put on the market after Shanann, Bella, and Cece were unalived by Chris Watts. It took a while for the house to sell. It was on the market for a long time. I want to say it was on there for $700,000, right? They went ahead and closed on the house, and for what it seemed like, everything was going well. Well, eventually there was a report that there was a call from the wife. They also, mind you, have 2 daughters and 1 son. It's very similar to what Shanann and Chris, had. They were going to have a son, and they also had 2 daughters. Anyways, so there was a call of a domestic complaint, and the wife basically said that she felt like her husband was going to put his hands on her. I think he was, either maybe drunk or whatever the case may be. I'm not 100% sure, but there was some type of domestic dispute in the house. Now, he did get arrested, y'all. He did get arrested. I was able to find proof of his arrest. There is a record. Basically, you got to look into, I believe it was Frederick, Colorado. And yeah, it will come up. But anyways, he did get arrested, and they're selling the house. They're getting a divorce, selling the house, allegedly. Now the house is back on the market. I'm not 100% sure if it's sold to a new person yet or not, but it's back on the market again. Y'all, I feel like this house needs to be torn down and turned into a memorial at this point, because why is it every time they sell this house, it's getting back on the market?
This is a case that has continued to bother me. Sarah Kinslow was born on June 14th of 1986. She grew up with 3 siblings and 2 loving parents in Greenville, Texas. Growing up, she was very musically inclined. She even entered a women's composer competition, and she won first place. She was known to often do solos at her church, and she was just very talented when it came to music. Sarah was also a very happy child. It was well known that she loved the holidays, especially Christmas. Her parents said that she would wake up super early on Christmas morning and go wake up all of her siblings, and she couldn't contain her excitement to the point where she would grab her stockings and then go and jump in her parents' bed to open everything. But as Sarah started getting older, she started hitting a more rebellious streak. When she turned 14, she started staying out late, sneaking out. Like, she was just being kind of a rebellious teenager, and things seemed to get worse when she met 18-year-old Curtis Wayne Bell, and I don't have a picture of him. I'm sorry about that. Sarah's parents obviously did not approve of this relationship. They did not like Curtis, which is understandable because he was 18 and she was 14. Just the age difference that Sarah's parents didn't agree with. Curtis was also known to be a really not a great dude. He was very involved in drugs, and even Sarah's older brother, he was in jail for unknown reasons, and even he said that the inmates had told him that Curtis was not a good person and his younger sister should. But this did not stop Sarah. In fact, this would lead to a lot of arguments in the home, and even one night Sarah started packing up all of her stuff, and she told her parents that one day she would be gone. On May 1st of 2001, Sarah went to school early that morning. Her dad dropped her off around 7:20. They wanted to go early because Sarah had plans to meet with some of her friends. Sarah's dad left and then went about his day. It wasn't until later when Sarah didn't return home from school, and then the school eventually calling saying that Sarah had never been at school, that her parents got worried. They started questioning her friends and asking all of them where Sarah was. None of them knew where she had gone because they had plans that day to skip school and go to a local cemetery, but Sarah had never shown up, according to her friends. It was after this that Sarah's family decided to report her missing, and at first she was considered a runaway, and her parents agreed that she probably ran away. And it wasn't until all of the friends agreed to take a polygraph test and all of them failed that things started to get strange. Now, polygraph tests are not that reliable, but still it is worth noting. That's when police brought in dogs, and the dogs did track Sarah's scent for 2 blocks, but then it disappeared, so they believe that Sarah got into a vehicle. We'll get into more in part 2. Give me a couple minutes to get it up. It'll be down in the comments.
What is the craziest thing that someone's confessed to on their deathbed? Well, a deathbed confession made this year solved a 20-year-old cold case. And this is coming from the Heart Starts Pounding podcast episode that's all about cold cases that were solved this year. So this year in West Virginia, a man named Larry Webb was dying. And before he died, he called a nurse over and said he needed to get it off his chest that he killed a woman and her daughter back in 2000. It turns out that back then, a woman named Susan Carter and her 10-year-old daughter Alex were living with Larry while Susan was in a custody battle with Alex's father. One day they just disappeared, but because they were together when they disappeared, police assumed that Susan just ran away with her daughter. But Larry confirmed that that's not what happened. The story he gave on his deathbed is that one day he came home to see that Susan was stealing money from him, and so he shot her. And then panicking, he wanted to get rid of all the witnesses, and that included Alex, her daughter. And to me, the craziest thing in all of this is that Larry had really bad dementia, so when he gave this confession, they weren't really convinced that it was true. But the day after he died, both of their remains were found in his backyard. If you want to hear more on that story and other cold cases that were solved this year, check out the Cold Cases That Were Solved This Year episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
It goes to show you, man, people in their last moments, that's when they want to get the truth off their chest, man. Something about their last moments, man. They just want to go, I guess, into wherever they're about to go, into with peace of mind, but the damage is done. Wonder how many other people, man, who are still holding in their secrets. You know what that is. All day, every day.
What is one true crime case that you just can't stop thinking about? I always wonder what really happened to 6-year-old Catherine Korzelius. On August 7th, 1996, Catherine, along with her mom Nancy and her brother Chris, were out running errands. Catherine's dad was Paul Korzelius, who at the time was the tour manager for John Bon Jovi. That day was Paul's birthday, so they were all out looking for a present for him. They all lived on Elder Circle, which is a small neighborhood near Austin, Texas. When they got back to Elder Circle, Catherine wanted to pick up the mail from the community mailbox and then walk home. The mailboxes were only about 1/8 of a mile from their home, and Catherine had done this a few times before, so her mom let her. Catherine would take the shorter route home, while her mom and brother would take the longer route around Elder Circle. This way, they would be getting home at almost the same time. But once Nancy and Chris got home, with still no sign of Catherine, Nancy sent Chris to go and look for her. But when Chris couldn't find her, Nancy started searching for her by car. Within minutes, they found her laying in the middle of the road on Elder Circle. She was unconscious, but still breathing. According to Nancy, she didn't want to make her daughter lay on the hot pavement, so she picked her up and took her to the hospital. Little Catherine suffered from a fractured skull and never regained consciousness, and sadly, she died later that day. Authorities initially thought that Catherine was a victim of a hit and run, but certain things didn't add up. Where Catherine's body was found was in an unusual spot. Her mom last saw her walking towards their house, but her body was found a little over a mile away from their home in the opposite direction that she was supposed to have gone. Catherine's body was actually found along the route that her mom and brother took to get home, and the autopsy only deepened the mystery. The autopsy showed that Catherine didn't die from a hit and run. Along with her head injury, she also had abrasions on her left shoulder, lower back, right hip, and her knees. The ME found that Catherine had either jumped, fallen, or was thrown from a moving vehicle. One theory investigators came up with was that Catherine maybe tried to hold on to the back of her mom's car on the drive home, but fell off. This would explain the location of where her body was found. But her family did not believe this, so they hired a PI. The PI noted that it was a really hot summer day, and at the time, Catherine's left thumb was broken and in a splint, so it would have been really difficult for her to hold on to anything. And it's likely her mom would have seen her in the rearview mirror. Catherine's family believes she was abducted and murdered. After her death, investigators brought in a canine unit that tracked her scent to a vacant lot 30 yards from the mailboxes, but it was lost after that. This sparked a theory that Catherine was approached by an attacker at the mailboxes, ran into the lot, was caught and thrown into a car, struck in the head, and then was thrown out of the vehicle where she was found. Nancy also stated that it appeared her daughter's body was laid out for her to find. Her hair was smoothed down, her clothes were straight, and her sandals were still on. Unfortunately, there's never been any answers in this case, and it's still labeled a suspicious death. John Bon Jovi wrote a song dedicated to Catherine called August 7, 415. And sadly, in March of 2020, Catherine's brother Chris, who grew up to be a police officer, was tragically killed in a car accident.
Man, it's a mysterious case. It used to be solved.
Hello, true crimers. It's time for another episode of Coldest Cases by State. Today, South Dakota. Brr. So, this is the kind of strange case of Arnold Archambault and Ruby Bruguier. They were actually part of the Yankton Sioux tribe. They were a happy couple and they had just recently had a baby. And then a tragedy happened on December 11th, 1992. So, the two of them had joined Ruby's cousin, Tracy Dion, for a night of partying. Around 6 a.m. on December 12th, they would come home after the night of partying. But because they were still intoxicated, the babysitter, who was actually Tracy's father, said, "Can you please just come back later?" So they got back in the car. Arnold was driving the car. And just a few short minutes after they left the house, they would get involved in a car accident. The car had overturned. This is not the exact car, by the way. The witness would say that Arnold swerved because the road was icy, and then they flipped into this ditch. So this is when it gets kind of strange. Allegedly, Arnold is able to get out of the car and he fled. Ruby then escapes the car and she flees. Neither of them apparently helped Tracy. When paramedics arrived to the accident, they were able to save Tracy. She was honest. She said, "We've been drinking. I have no idea where my friends went." Police would only speculate that because of DWI laws that maybe they fled because they were scared of being arrested. Their families, however, would say no, they wouldn't do that, especially not to their baby. They searched the woods, and they never found this couple. They literally just poofed into thin air. And they conducted these searches for months. They should have been somewhere in the area. This is a still image pulled from Unsolved Mysteries, where this case actually aired. The OG Unsolved Mysteries. So this isn't the real scene. But in March of 1993, about 3 months later, in the ditch just 75 feet away from where the car accident happened, was the decomposed body of Ruby Bruguier. The ditch had water in it, so the next day they pumped out the water, and in that same area they found the decomposed body of Arnold Archambault. It was only like 15-20 feet away from where Ruby was. You know what's stranger? He wasn't as badly decomposed as Ruby was. They also found a tuft of Ruby's hair at the crime scene, which is very odd. The autopsy would show they died of exposure. A witness said they saw Ruby and Arnold at a New Year's Eve party 3 weeks after the accident. That witness took a polygraph and passed. Police say foul play wasn't involved. Were they murdered? How come they were in the same spot as the car accident, months later? This one is so weird, right?
Yeah.
Even spent time in prison, starting with the one that shocked me the most, Phil Lewis, who played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He went to prison for manslaughter. So in 1991, way before The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody aired, Phil killed a 21-year-old girl while drinking and driving. But he was released early and only served 1 year because of the work he did in prison. Next, we got Debbie Ryan, who played Bailey Pickett on The Sweet Life on Deck. When Debbie was 22 years old, she was arrested and charged with a DUI after she crashed a car with another person and severely injured them. Okay, this one's crazy. Back in 2018, Adam Hicks, who starred in Zeke and Luther, was arrested after going around pointing guns at people and robbing them with the help of his girlfriend, Danny. He ended up getting only 5 years in prison, and now he's pursuing his music career and he's on TikTok. Now, this one definitely caught me off guard because Mitchell Musso played such an innocent kid on Hannah Montana, but he was arrested for public intoxication on August 26th of this year when he apparently stole a bag of chips from a store, but he denies this ever happened. Mitchell was also arrested back in 2011 when he was 20 years old for a DUI. Let me know which one surprised you the most, because mine was Mr. Mosby.
Yeah, it was Mr. Mosby for me as well.
You never would have guessed that.
Do you think ghosts can help solve cold cases? Well, throughout history, there's been reports of ghosts coming back to tell their loved ones who killed them, like the story of Fred Fisher. And if you're interested in these kind of stories, I just did a podcast episode on the most famous one. So in 1826, an Australian man by the name of Fred Fisher disappeared into thin air. But this never sat right with his best friend John, because Fred seemed to have left in the middle of the night and didn't take any of his stuff with him. Fred's neighbor claimed that he had gone back to England and had named him the power of attorney. And then his neighbor starts selling all of Fred's stuff. So John starts thinking that something is not right. So one night, months later, John is walking down the street, he's had a few drinks, and right when he's passing Fred's property, he sees a ghostly figure standing in his yard. It looks exactly like Fred, but he's completely pale with like this dead stare. And the figure just lifts one hand slowly and points past John to a creek that's behind him. So the next day, John goes down to the creek right around where this apparition was telling him to go, and sure enough, he finds Fred's body. Not only did this ghost lead John to Fred's body, but it also led to the arrest of the sketchy neighbor for his murder. This full story and more this week on the pod.
Ghosts coming back and telling their side of the story wasn't in a...
In 1992, the body of Aglina Diaz de Leon was found right here in this church courtyard. My fiance and I host the podcast Murder in America, and we decided to visit this church on a sunny day last month so we could tell Aglina's story to all of you guys. In 1992, Aglina was found right here in the courtyard of the building, nude, and her throat had been slashed after she was strangled. For 10 years after the crime, nobody had a clue who killed Aglina, and it was a national mystery. That is, until one day in 2002, when police finally got a lead through DNA. Witnesses saw a man named Guadalupe Sandoval near the scene of the crime the night that it happened, and DNA linked him 10 years later to the murder. In the meantime, he had married and raised 2 kids. You never know who you're marrying, I guess.
Truly don't, and it sounds like he got away with it too. Sickening.
The Muffin Man is actually a serial killer. You know the Muffin Man nursery rhyme, right? But did you know it was based on a dark, true story? 1 second. Chocolate chip. Tastes like your mama booted. But yeah, the story is darker than you think. Because in the 1800s, there was a man named Frederick Thomas Linwood. And he would wait lurking in alleys, looking for his next victims. And they would always be kids. You see, he would kidnap them and unalive them, luring them in with muffins. I mean, what kid wouldn't want a tasty snack? When the townspeople got word of what was happening, they decided to come together and figure out a way to prevent this, to spread awareness amongst the kids and keep them safe, warning them about the Muffin Man, who was a danger on Drury Lane. You're walking past the alleyway, and the Muffin Man gets you. Your fourth act sees this and tries to rescue you. Let me know who it is, and let me know if you think you'd be doomed or not. Anyways, he's one of the first documented serial killers in the world. And everyone still teaches this song to their kids, even children TV shows. And yet nobody knows that...
The Muffin Man. I heard about that because of Shrek, bro. You know, the Muffin Man scene between Gingerbread Man and Lord Farquaad. Classic.
Nobody has been able to explain this creepy viral video. For the past 11 years, a man who runs a TikTok account by the name of Dude My House is Haunted has been pretty confident that there has been some paranormal activity within his home. He claims that ever since his wife passed away, there have been some strange and unusual things going on. So eventually he decided to leave cameras out and record what was happening and post it onto TikTok, which is the footage that you are about to see. In this video you can see a chair seemingly moving on its own. It moves somewhat slowly until it suddenly is violently pulled into the corner by the kitchen. A mysterious shadowy figure can be seen moving behind the chair, and then suddenly out of nowhere the chair is thrown into the kitchen. Now of course we're not really sure what happened in this video, but I'm having a hard time coming up with an explanation for this one.
Or it could just be an edit. Simple as that.
Insanely dark facts and things that have happened at Disney World. When Disney had first opened way back in the 70s, Walt Disney had originally hired spies. He would station them around the park so they could eavesdrop on the guests and get a feel for how they actually liked the experience. It's pretty much common knowledge that Disney does have an underground tunnel system, but did you know that that system runs a full 9 acres under the park, and people have actually gotten lost down there? Roughly 10 or so years ago, there was an incident that was reported near Space Mountain when a guest tried to sneak on a duffel bag. When employees found out and they asked to search it, they found inside a 6-month-old baby. Why this parent was trying to sneak a baby onto a roller coaster, we do not know. In a lesser-known incident that Disney actually covered up pretty well, in 2004, a 38-year-old cast member who was playing Pluto was run over by the Beauty and the Beast float during the opening parade. Although clearly deceased at the scene, Disney refused to declare the death until the body was brought outside of the park.
The things companies do for money, man.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 18. A man from Queens once spent 5 months in jail completely unaware that his bail was just $2. Since spiders molt, when you see what you might think is a dead spider, it could just be that the spider left behind its exoskeleton and is now bigger than before, around with a bunch of poop inside of them. Scientists accidentally killed the world's oldest living animal, which was a clam that lived to be 507 years old. Statistically speaking, at least one person who comments on this video will not be alive tomorrow. The real reason you shouldn't eat raw cookie dough isn't because of getting sick from eating raw eggs. It's because you shouldn't eat raw flour, which contains fecal matter from all the birds flying over the field and pooping on the wheat.
I bet you didn't know that these 3 myths aren't true. So the first one is that if you swallow chewing gum, your stomach will take 7 years to digest it. And that's just not true. And that's totally cap, because if you swallow some gum, it'll only take about 2 to 4 days to pass through your entire system.
Wow.
The second myth is that cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. Scientists have not yet discovered a correlation between cracking your knuckles and arthritis. However, over time, it can lessen your grip strength. And at number 3, we have the myth that sugar makes kids hyper. I totally thought this one was true, but scientists say that it's completely false. While it has been proven that sugar can change your mood and make you feel more active, there's no real connection between kids being hyper and the consumption of sugar.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna have to call cap on that last one, bro. Because if you get some kids some sugar, bro, they'll be freaking hyper, man, running all around the place, man. I don't believe that last one. Like I said, when we watch these videos together with you guys, we always gotta do our own research. Where he at? The middle of the night. Could not be me.
AC is not working. Look at everyone. So many people, they are using these magazines. AC is not working at all. And as usual, your TV screens are also not working. Neither this button for calling the cabin crew. Nothing is working. Nothing. Not even the light is working. Is this what you are providing? And as usual, that is why Air India is considered as one of the worst airlines in the world.
We all know how that ended.
These are facts that make death even scarier. Up first, since the first ever human being, about 108 billion people have died. If you just stop and think about that for a second, it's actually impossible to wrap your head around. Every single human being you've ever read about has lived on this planet and died. Next up, we've all heard the phrase, he died of old age. But that is a complete myth. You don't actually die from old age, but instead all the sicknesses and diseases that come with getting old. Getting old is actually awful and is probably one of the worst things about being a human. Finally, by the time you finish this video, 150 to 200 people will have died. People die every second of the day, which should make you stop and appreciate your life right now. Because it could be gone within seconds.
You're spitting at the end, man. You gotta appreciate the time we have now.
Can you imagine living with someone that you know is trying to end your life? This hidden camera captures a moment this woman puts bleach inside her husband's coffee maker multiple times a day. This is Robbie Johnson, and he began setting up cameras all around his house when he started to notice that his coffee was tasting a little off. He wasn't really expecting to catch anything, but when he looked back at the footage, he was shocked. His wife Melody is seen pouring a substance inside his coffee maker every every single day before he brewed the coffee. Robbie got testing strips, and each time it tested positive for chlorine. At this time, Robbie and Melody were in the process of a divorce, but they were still living together. Robbie pretended to drink his coffee every morning and continued to gather evidence so that he can go to police. But when he showed police all this footage, they said that they couldn't see exactly what Melody was pouring into the coffee maker, so he couldn't prove it. So Robbie had to set up even more cameras around the house with different angles so that it can prove that Melody was in fact poisoning him. Melody was charged with attempted murder, and I bet this guy will never let anyone else make him a coffee again.
Damn right. Not after seeing that.
Today I'm going to be asking my haunted doll about S-Walkers. I won't say their name because people don't like saying their name. So if you don't know what an S-Walker is, basically it's this creature that's been seen throughout history. A lot of Native American culture believes in these walkers and believe that they are demonic entities that kind of pose themselves as animals or different types of species. So I'm going to ask my haunted doll what she thinks of them, if she believes in them. The link to the Spirit Box app I use is in my bio. Lola, do you believe in S-Walkers? Yes, she does. Have you ever come across one before? Yes. That was a really quick yeah. Have you ever been attacked by an S-Walker? No, that's good. They're dangerous. Are they dangerous to be around? Yes. I feel her getting very anxious about it. I think that's confirmation that she's anxious. Lola, do you think any of our followers have ever had an experience with S-Walkers? Yeah, she thinks that maybe some of you have. Will you keep our followers safe from these creatures? Yes, she will. She'll always keep you guys safe. She'll do the best she can.
I don't know. What was that device just twisting how she communicated with that dog?
What's a missing persons case that still keeps you up at night? I always think about the disappearance of Nicholas Downey and how he completely disappeared after his rental car was found abandoned. So this is 37-year-old Nicholas Downey, and he was last seen on February 27th, 2023 in Bristol, Florida. At the time he was working in Bradenton, but he'd taken a week off to go and visit his wife Holly, who was staying at a rehabilitation center in Mississippi. For the trip, Nicholas rented a Tesla through the Turo app. He was on his way back home when, on February 26th, he pulled off of Interstate 10 to recharge the Tesla behind a McDonald's in Marianna, Florida. Security footage shows that someone exited the vehicle to charge it, but the footage was too blurry to know if it was actually Nicholas getting out of the car. The person then gets back into the car before pulling on a State Road 71 heading south instead of getting back on the interstate. While this was happening, the car's owner was watching its progress on the Turo app and saw the direction it was heading. This worried the owner because the car wasn't heading back to Tampa as planned, and he already had the car scheduled to be rented out by another customer the following day. So he sent Nicholas a text message to make sure that he was okay, which would have showed up on the car's dashboard, but he never got a response back. Nicholas was scheduled to go back to work the morning of February 27th, but he never showed up. Instead, that morning, the Tesla he was renting was found abandoned in Liberty County, parked between Turkey Creek and Prison Road. This area is, I guess, known as the Stoke site. But Nicholas was nowhere to be found. The car only had a little bit of charge left and the windshield was damaged. Authorities found that the car at some point had driven under a cable, and this was confirmed when they found the cable in question about 1.5 miles away with the car's white paint on it. The police contacted the vehicle's owner, who was then able to remotely unlock it. And inside the car, police found 2 phones, one belonging to Nicholas and one belonging to his wife, who wasn't allowed to have a personal phone at the rehab center. Also inside the car was a change of clothes, a McDonald's receipt, a drone that Nicholas used for work, and an unknown substance. Authorities searched the area surrounding the car by land and air, and they even brought in tracking dogs, but no trace of Nicholas has ever been found. According to a sheriff that was on the scene, he said that there were hardly any footprints surrounding the car, and that something isn't adding up. His family didn't even know about his disappearance until a few days later on March 3rd when his wife was allowed to call him, but a deputy answered instead. The car rental was without contact and done through the Turo app, so the owner of the car never actually met Nicholas. And according to Nicholas's mom, she last spoke to him around 8:30 the night he went missing, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She mentioned that Nicholas did struggle with alcohol and drugs in the past, but he's never just not reached out. They talk almost every day, so it's not like him to just disappear. It's now been a year and Nicholas is still missing. If you have any information about his disappearance at all, please contact the number on the screen.
Just vanished. That was a weird story.
through that Turo app. That's when they be using to rent cars, right? Luxury cars. I've heard about that.
This might be the scariest thing that ever happened to America. We all know that America had a lot of scary things happen to it. But this has to be the scariest thing ever. On August 29th, 1968, every single TV in America shut down. But a demonic whispering was coming from every TV in America. Many people believe that it was the devil trying to get across some message. But nobody really understood it. This lasted for about 25 seconds, then all the TVs came back on. To this day, nobody knows what caused it or why it happened, but everybody believes it was the works of the devil.
Glad I wasn't around during that
December
time.
29th, 1986, a California Highway Patrol officer named Craig Pyre drove his cruiser down Interstate 15 in San Diego, California. With him was an NBC News reporter filming a segment about highway travel safety that was set to air later that night. At around 4 a.m. the previous morning, a 20-year-old college student named Kara Knott had been found strangled to death in a creek right near the Mercy Road exit. So as Officer Pyre passed by the Mercy Road exit and continued down Interstate 15, as they filmed, he began talking about the basics of highway travel safety.
Anything could happen. Being a female, you could be raped, robbed if you're a male, all the way to where you could be killed.
As this particular segment was filmed, Officer Pyre was looking ahead and he noticed there was a car pulled over on the shoulder of the highway with its hazards on. So he turned to the news crew and basically said, look, here's a chance for us to actually show what to do in case your car breaks down on the highway. Officer Pyre walked over to the passenger side door of this car and asked him to explain what happened to your car. The driver said he had run out of gas and then gotten stranded on the side of the road. And then he had left his car and walked to a gas station to get a gas can. And all the way back, he put the gas into his car, but his car still wouldn't start. This driver is doing basically exactly what he shouldn't be doing, according to the safety tips Officer Pyre had given. And so on camera, he basically says to this guy, do you understand how dangerous it is to have left your car like that and walked alone on this highway? And the driver just kind of looked at him and shrugged like, yeah, I guess so. After that, Officer Pyre and the news crew wrapped up filming. They told him what time to expect his segment to air on NBC that night. And when Officer Pyre's actual segment aired on TV, there were a few people, when they watched this clip, that noticed something very specific. And within an hour of this clip airing on TV, those few people were calling the police in droves to tell them, we know what happened to Kara Knott. It would turn out all the clues the police needed to solve the Kara Knott murder case were right there in that 1.5 minute long video. Because what happened to Kara had almost happened to over 24 other women in San Diego. The other 24 women who encountered the same person, the killer. They were terrorized and tortured and held hostage for a couple of hours, but eventually were let go. But Kara wasn't. During her encounter, at some point, the killer clubbed her over the head and then strangled her to death with a rope. Now, the killer at first had gotten away with this until they were featured on that 1.5 minute long video. And some of those women who had survived their attack, they're watching the segment and suddenly their attacker is on TV. And so put that all together and they thought, boom, that's the person who killed Kara Knott. And sure enough, the police would follow up on these tips and they would confirm that the man in the video was Kara's killer. And Kara's killer was none other than Officer Craig Pyre. Officer Pyre was found guilty of murder and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison.
I was the officer. That was a plot twist. You give him safety tips. But he was doing those things himself.
What did Buzz Aldrin see in Antarctica? Let's rewind. So in 2016, a satellite got an image of what experts believed to be a huge pyramid in Antarctica. Now, if this was in fact a pyramid, it would be the largest pyramid ever found on Earth. Bigger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, which was about 230 meters wide. This pyramid in Antarctica would be 2,000 meters wide. Now, apparently in 2016, Buzz Aldrin and a crew got together and went to Antarctica to explore and check out this colossal pyramid. They wanted to see it for themselves. But this is where it gets crazy. While on the expedition, Buzz Aldrin suffered a heart attack. He was hospitalized for days. But when he fully recovered and left the hospital, he tweeted something strange, but then quickly deleted it. It said, "We are all in danger. It is evil itself." Now what the hell he talking about? Cause I don't want to find out. Someone close to Buzz said they had a talk with him and he said this.
Buzz did say one thing. He just said, we thought out things we shouldn't. And I went, what do you mean by that?
Come on, man. What did they find? Was it aliens, a Nephilim giant, other humans? If it is a pyramid, who built it? And what was living in it?
You got contact with aliens, bro?
Yo, what's up? These are Kids That Killed, Part 5. Today on our list, Aaron Campbell. On July 2nd, 2018, 6-year-old Alicia McPhail was nowhere to be found throughout her house. Her parents searched her room, the living room, and every other part of the house, but she could not be found. But the crazy thing was her bicycle was still parked out on the curb, so she couldn't have gone far. I mean, she was only 6 years old and didn't have a habit of running away, so her parents began to worry. But it turns out that this 16-year-old psychopath Aaron Campbell had actually contacted Alicia's dad the night before trying to buy some drugs. And when he went to pick him up and Alicia's dad wouldn't answer, he snuck inside the home, grabbed Alicia while she was sleeping, and kidnapped her. Alicia then woke up while she was being carried around by her kidnapper, and he told her that she had nothing to worry about and that he was a friend of her father's and he was going to get her home safely. But that was far from the truth. It'd be shortly after the young girl woke up that the 16-year-old would move on to brutally beat this young 3-foot-tall 6-year-old girl. It wouldn't be until the morning after this incident where the parents and neighbors would have a search party going out to look for the young girl, and they would find her dumped in a woodland area about 15 minutes away from their home with over 117 different injuries on her body. It was said that they found trace evidence of semen on this girl's body, and it was even claimed by forensics that she was beaten long after she had already died. It was later found out by the police during an investigation that Aaron Campbell was the one who committed these horrific acts on this young girl, and at the age of 20 when he was in prison already, he actually got beat and his front tooth went through the top of his lip. Sorry Aaron, but you got what was coming to you.
This family was last seen in 2022, but have never been seen since. Hello, true crimeers. This is the case of the Bernstein family. Viewer discretion is advised. Pictured here in the middle is 33-year-old mother Abigail Bernstein. Pictured here with her two sons, 11-year-old Kowakai Bernstein and 8-year-old Kush Bernstein. So this case originates on the island of Oahu, specifically in Honolulu. Abigail had allegedly met a man online and they planned to take a year-long trip, a boat trip. In October of 2022, Abigail and her two children were last seen here at the Alawai Boat Harbor in Honolulu, Hawaii. The identity of the man that she met and was going on this trip with, I don't think has been made public. I can't, even the FBI, website doesn't have any information on him. But what the FBI has stated is that the boat returned in 2023. I'm assuming that means with the man, but again, I'm not 100% sure. What is sure, however, is that Abigail and her two sons were not on that boat. This entire family has not been seen since they left that boat dock in 2022. Once they were reported missing, the FBI becomes involved, and the FBI would find out that Abigail and her two kids were living a very nomadic lifestyle. They completely cut off, or Abigail did, cut off all communications with her family. So it was literally just her and the two kids. Her two sons were not enrolled in school at the time of their disappearance. Neither of the two kids, or Abigail especially, had a cell phone. They cut off their cell phone before they left. And again, I have to assume that this man they went with was questioned and talked to. I don't know what, if they did, I don't know what he said. It's very strange because the FBI is saying that they don't have any evidence of foul play. However, they cannot rule foul play out. They just don't have proof of it. And most importantly, they don't have this entire family. Where did they go? Some believe that they, could have just started a new life somewhere on another island. Abigail had connections not only to Oahu, but also on the Big Island. She also had connections to people in Naples, Florida, Petoskey, Michigan, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I can only assume that they have investigated those angles as well. The hope is that they are just living off the grid somewhere. And if it was just Abigail, they would probably not be pushing this as hard because, she's a 33-plus-year-old adult. But there are two children involved here, and there is concern for their well-being, not necessarily because of Abigail, just because nobody knows where they are or what they're doing, but somebody out there has to have seen them. And as badly as Abigail may not want to be found, people just need to know where these kids are at. Someone somewhere out there knows the truth, and perhaps that someone is you. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Abigail Bernstein or her two sons, please contact the Honolulu, Hawaii FBI office at 808-673-2719.
She sound like she just banned and she trying to live off the
She ate a
grid.
poisonous cake that was left at her doorstep. 17-year-old Ana Neves was from Brazil, and she was described as a quiet girl who had a few close friends. Secretly, one of Anna's best friends was actually jealous of her, and she was planning something sinister. On May 30th of 2025, a guy delivered a package with a cake inside to Anna's home. Anna wasn't home at the time, so her sister took in the package. Anna arrived home later that evening around 6 p.m. and her sister was so excited to show her this cake because it had a note that said, "A treat for the most beautiful girl I've ever seen." Anna was flattered because she believed this was from a secret admirer, and as she was eating this cake, she had no idea that that was a big mistake. Less than an hour after eating that cake, she started to vomit violently and have severe diarrhea. The following day, her symptoms got worse and her father rushed her to the hospital. Medical staff told her that she had food poisoning, so she was given medicine and hooked up to an IV drip, and slowly she started to get better. Soon she was discharged and sent home because it seemed like she was back to normal. But later that day, once she was home, she fell on her bathroom floor and suffered a cardiac arrest. Once emergency services arrived to her home, she had passed away. Anna's family was trying to figure out how this could have even happened to her, and that's when Anna's sister remembered that there was a strange guy who had dropped off this delivery. Her family contacted the police, and they were able to determine that this cake was bought at a local pastry shop named Menina Trufa. The owner of the shop spoke with police, and she stated that an order was made for this cake and that an unknown delivery guy from an app had picked it up and delivered it. Police tracked down the guy who delivered this cake, and he was able to get the address of the person who ordered this cake, and it ended up being Anna's best friend. That friend was brought in for questioning, and at first she denied everything and stated that she had nothing to do with her friend's death, but after hours of questioning with the police, she admitted to everything and stated that she had laced the cake with arsenic that she had bought online for $11.50. She stated that she only meant to scare Anna and didn't mean to harm her at all. She ended up stating that she did this to someone else by sending them a poisonous cake as well because two of her boyfriends left her for this girl. This other victim became extremely ill, but fortunately she survived. This friend was sent to a young offenders institution, and her identity is currently being hidden, and there is no updates on any kind of sentencing.
Sometimes, man, your friends aren't your friends. Sad fact. She was jealous of her friend, so she sent her that cake. Jealous, she'll drive you to do something.
This is a
dark
true
things.
horrifying story of Hamdan School in Uganda. This school is an Islamic boarding school for girls. It was donated by one of the royal family members of Dubai 22 years ago. This story was submitted by Afra. An Arabic girl back in 2009 was a student at this high school. She knew that the school was haunted and that there was a graveyard right behind the school. And she heard rumors of many incidents where girls were possessed by jinns. But everything else about the school seems fine, because it's one of the most successful Islamic boarding schools in that region. But that does not deny the fact that jinns may live inside the school. Afra experienced something, and being in her 30s today, this one incident will always haunt her. Afra had a mutual friend that was a student in that same school. She was regularly possessed by one jinn. Out of all the religious students, she was one of the very few that didn't really care about the Islamic education. She always used to party, drink, hangs out with guys, and the jinn that used to possess her was surprisingly a Muslim. He was just furious that she used to disobey her family and her religion. They brought her to one of the halls in the school and they started a ruqya session. Afra was there witnessing the whole thing. After many attempts of trying to make this jinn speak, he finally responded. I am possessing this girl because she disobeys. I will not leave until she changes. They were all shocked and they proceed with the recitation. The moment they stop, just for a few seconds, the possessed girl stares at Afra. Who is this girl? Why is she very quiet? She is very pretty, very nice, but I cannot go near her. Afra froze in her place. She felt numb all around, and she was not able to move a single muscle. The Imam was intrigued, so he asks the jinn, why can't you go near her? What is stopping you? It was a back and forth questioning, The jinn kept saying, I can't, I can't. Why can't you? Until it responded. There is someone in front of her with light. What does that mean? They ask. There is someone in front of her with light. I can't go near her. They couldn't interpret what this was exactly. It could have been the veil of light from the Adhkar. But regardless, Afra will never forget the demon's eyes staring deep into her soul, wanting to possess her.
Man, got schools in front of.
Because she always ate sushi, bro. So she goes to this one sushi restaurant that I guess she would usually go to eat at. I like sushi. Sushi's good? Yeah, I don't like sushi. She goes and she's eating this sushi, goes home like any other day. Yeah. And then she starts to notice that she started like getting like a rash and shit on her arm. Starts scratching it. It starts to like break out in hives on her whole body. And she had a husband, by the way, too. Her husband's kind of just sitting there supporting her throughout the whole thing, right? She's going to like this local pharmacy by her house, just buying a bunch of like, you know, medicine that she could just easily apply, stuff like that, right? Creams or but it's not working at all for her, right? It's so weird because one day her husband wakes up, she's in the bathroom looking at herself, she looks like an old ass woman, bro. Like, it looks like she went from 26 to like 70 years old. She looks like an old woman out of nowhere. Yeah, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'll show you the picture if you want to see the picture. Can I see a picture of her? Yeah, I'm not. Does she look crazy? Going from 20 to 70 years old in a couple of days is wild.
It is.
Bro. Like, she looks like a real old lady, bro. That is crazy. A man was it.
Hey, man. Secrets, are we gonna have to find that pic? Because I'm definitely gonna have to see that, man. Like I said, they eat some sushi. I'm not a avid, sushi eater, man. Tell me down below, man, Seekers, if any of you guys shot sushi. I never have, personally, but that I heard a story like that, man, it's aging you up. No.
Exploring an 11th century temple.
What he found?
What he saw cannot be explained.
The dog like levitating or something? Oh no, it's different. Or is that an edit, man? Found all this in the 11th century temple? Nah, if this legit happened, man, I ain't gonna lie, I'm out that temple, bro. We ain't exploring no more, bro. We ain't Indiana Jones out here. All this is in 4K too? You'd think this would make like trending everywhere when it's dropped. Factor Cap, man. I'm gonna need that guy's help on this one. It's like they keep, like, are they testing? They keep opening it up to look at it and closing the door. Fact or cap on that clip, Seekers.
Rock apes are Bigfoot-like creatures that were reported throughout the Vietnam War by American GIs and the Viet Cong. These hominids would hurl rocks at nearby troops, hence the name rock apes. American GIs in the Vietnamese jungle told stories of encountering 6-foot-tall humanoid primates that would stalk and attack them before disappearing back into the night.
Rock apes, man? First time we were hearing about this, they were throwing it at them. Everywhere.
On Reddit, a Vietnam veteran told a story about a very creepy encounter he had during the Vietnam War. One of the toughest jobs during the war was going into the Viet Cong tunnels to kill the enemy. These tunnels were not only filled with enemy soldiers but also booby traps, and these brave soldiers were known as tunnel rats. One day this tunnel rat was crawling with his partner in the deepest tunnel he'd ever been in. And when they finally arrived to the end, they were surprised that there were no booby traps in this cave system and that there was still an oil lamp lit in the last room. But there was nobody in there. But then they saw a tarp on the ground, and when they moved it, they saw stairs leading further down. But these stairs were very old. They couldn't have been built by the Viet Cong. So the two men with their pistols drawn proceeded to go down the stairs. And when they made it to the bottom, they saw about 10 Vietnamese people dressed in Viet Cong uniforms. But there was something not right about them. They had blank faces and were just staring into space. Their eyes were solid black, and they were just kind of rocking back and forth. The two men even waved their pistols and flashlights in their faces, but they just kept staring into the distance. Then they saw a bunch of weapons in the corner, but they were old and rusted. And at the end of the room, there was a golden icon of a lady, but instead of human legs, she had tentacles. Now these two men were really freaked out, and they believed that whoever these people were already dead. So they decided to rig the place with C4 and get the heck out of there as fast as they could. And while they were crawling back to the surface, they heard a woman's voice calling out to them. But they knew that whatever this was not human. Then once they finally got out of this tunnel, they told the other soldiers to get away because it was going to explode. But they didn't tell them about what they saw. And while they were waiting for the C4 to go off, they wondered who the heck was keeping those candles lit in that cave. And once the C4 went off, they felt a sigh of relief. And they didn't talk about this until many years later.
Is that a true story? We're going to have to follow up on that, man.
Way back like in the 1960s,
What they see.
Vietnam War, the American military, they invented like night vision goggles, but they had the red night vision goggles. It wasn't the green one like what we have today. So these new goggles were issued to like military troops. This whole thing took place like within 60 days from it being given to them, those guys, to them cutting the whole shit out because they said these people were they're freaking out. They're seeing weird shit now. And imagine now, like you're fighting war, right? But you have these goggles on at night, and then you're seeing things that looks like, like evil monsters, and you're like, hey, hold on, that doesn't look like a Vietnamese guy. That looks like a straight up, like a damn Jersey Devil and shit. Like this one guy was in a helicopter just shooting at Vietnamese people. They said, what are you shooting at? It's like, all these demons out here. He said he was spraying all these demon fire. I was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you shooting at?
What the hell? That won't be the first time, man, we heard a story. Technology coming out way sooner than what it was supposed to, man. Infrared, night vision goggles, but it was red instead of green. What was they seeing? There was demons everywhere. The more you know,
Have
man.
you ever heard of the Vietnamese urban legend, the Ghostly Wedding? The legend of the Ghostly Wedding is a haunting Vietnamese tale that revolves around the wedding ceremony that takes place in the spirit realm. It is a story that combines elements of love, tragedy, and the supernatural. According to the legend, the ghostly wedding is said to occur in the realm of spirits or ghosts. It involves ghostly brides and grooms who are unable to find peace and move on due to unresolved love or unfinished business in their lives. These spirits come together to partake in a wedding ceremony, seeking closure and a chance to be united in eternal matrimony. The ghostly wedding is said to be a sorrowful and ethereal event. The ceremony takes place in a mythical setting, often described as a moonlit grove or an otherworldly landscape. Ghostly music, ethereal decorations, and shimmering lights set the stage for the solemn union. During the wedding, the ghostly brides and grooms exchange vows and profess their eternal love. It is said that their love is so strong that it transcends the boundaries between life and death. The ceremony is both a celebration of their love and a plea for redemption or release from their earthly attachments. Witnessing a ghostly wedding is believed to be a rare occurrence. Those who happen upon the event may experience a mixture of emotions, including awe, sadness, and a sense of ephemeral nature of existence. Some versions of the legend suggest that those who witness the ghostly wedding may be granted a glimpse into the realm of spirits and gain a deeper understanding of love, loss, and the mysteries of the afterlife. The legend of the ghostly wedding serves as a poignant reminder of the power of love and the longing for resolution in the realm of the supernatural. It reflects the belief that the bonds of love can transcend death and that some spirits remain tethered to the earthly realm until they find closure or fulfillment.
Ghostly wedding, man.
If you're afraid of snakes, you're probably not going to like this story. During the Vietnam War, a photographer riding on a helicopter claimed that while going over the jungles of Vietnam, he spotted a huge snake across a dirt road. The eyewitness described a 100-foot snake with a horse-like head with eyes 3 feet in diameter. He told the pilot to get closer, but the snake was preparing to attack. The helicopter left the area, but not before the photographer allegedly took various photos of the snake.
4K?
The helicopter came back later to see if the snake was still there, but there was no trace of it. Locals in the area call it the bull eater for its capability of swallowing cattle, and the photos the photographer took have since been considered lost media.
Lost media? Man, I wish we could see those pics. We're gonna do a deep dive on that one too, Seekers. I know I don't mess with snakes, man, but you've seen crazier things, man, so I kind of believe that there was a big ass snake.
The Paranormal Check here. Take a look at this video that's coming out of Vietnam. The villager initially thought he was recording and capturing monkeys climbing in his tree. But on closer inspection, they realized these beings are humanoid. Could this be their legendary rock ape? They had recordings and myths around the rock ape that's a humanoid monkey that go back to the beginning of their written record, also found on cave drawings. Could this be a rock ape? Or is this another phenomenon we have seen before, where children are lost in the jungle and they adapt to their surroundings or adopted by the wild animals and become wild animals themselves? Take a look and tell me what you think.
You definitely see something right there. That don't look like a hand. It's like a tail or something. Is he like trying to scare him off? Ooh. What do you guys think that was? Rock ape, humanoid creatures? We got some endless theories, man. We got some good clips we seen today.
Urban legend of the talking tree. The talking tree is a fascinating urban legend in Vietnamese folklore that revolves around the mystical tree with the ability to communicate with humans. According to the legend, the tree possesses supernatural powers and wisdom beyond ordinary comprehension. The talking tree is often depicted as an ancient and majestic tree, usually found in secluded or sacred locations such as deep within forests, on sacred grounds, or near temples. It is believed that the tree serves as a bridge between the human world and the spirit realm. According to the legend, individuals who approach the talking tree with genuine intentions and a pure heart may be granted the privilege of conversing with it. The tree is said to have a soothing and captivating voice, and it speaks in a language that the person can understand, regardless of their native tongue. The tree is said to possess immense knowledge about various aspects of life, including history, spirituality, and the secrets of the universe. It can offer guidance, advice, and even prophecies to those who seek its wisdom. Some legends mention that the tree has the power to grant wishes or provide solutions to complex problems. Encounters with the talking tree are often described as deeply spiritual experiences, with individuals feeling a sense of awe and reverence in its presence. People may visit the tree to ask for answers to important life questions, gain clarity, or simply to bask in its mystical aura.
In Vietnamese folklore, if a person isn't buried, then their soul may become a ghost, forced to wander the earth for eternity. In 1969, during the Vietnam War, this supernatural superstition became a reality, when a number of Viet Cong soldiers started to hear ghostly voices calling out to them in the jungle. They sounded a little something like this.
It's very creepy and eerie. Imagine going to the jungle hearing that.
The troops would hear children crying for their fathers, men screaming in pain, and phrases like, "It's hell, I'm in hell, don't end up like me," alongside whispered encouragements for the soldiers to cut their own lives short. These sounds were absolutely horrifying, but here's the kicker. It turns out they were caused by GIs, not ghosts.
Whoa.
The voices were part of a real U.S. military tactic called Operation Wandering Soul. The U.S. employed South Vietnamese civilians to say these phrases on tape before playing them out loud on speakers placed in the jungle and on helicopters. The tapes were a form of psychological warfare, aiming to utilize local superstitions to persuade the Viet Cong patrols to flee or surrender out of fear. In some cases, this worked. However, more often than not, the Viet Cong soldiers would fire in the direction of the voices, hitting the soldiers and helicopters holding the speakers. Well, that backfired. Literally.
Man, they're using... That's a different type of torture.
Vietnamese urban legend of the Midnight Call. The Midnight Call is an urban legend that revolves around the mysterious phone call that occurs at midnight. It is said to be a supernatural phenomenon that can happen to unsuspecting individuals. According to the legend, at the stroke of midnight, the landline phone in the household will start ringing. The strange thing is that the phone call is not from any known person or even a recognizable phone number. Instead, it is believed to be a call from the spirit realm or an otherworldly entity. When the person answers the phone, they are greeted by a haunting voice on the other end. The voice may sound distant, eerie, or distorted. It delivers a cryptic message or a prophecy about the person's future. The contents of the message can vary widely, ranging from foretelling an upcoming event, warning about impending danger, or revealing secrets that were never known before. The caller may provide specific details or use symbolic language, making the message open to interpretation. The prophecy or message is often unsettling, leaving the person feeling uneasy or disturbed. Those who have experienced the Midnight Call report a mix of emotions, including fear, curiosity, and a sense of being connected to the supernatural. Some claim that the message they received during the call comes true in some form, leading to a series of strange occurrences or encounters following the call.
The Midnight Call. What do you guys think, man? You ain't picking up the phone off the midnight no more. Unless you know who it is, man. If it's unknown,